a lot of people have this image of how lawyers solicit through what they see in modern television, but generally it's a very complicated path because there's a lot of rules and regulations that lawyers have to follow in order to solicit their business. So they have to be very careful of what they put out there and how they market themselves, how they position themselves in front of prospects and in front of clients. So finding that middle point between our skills as a business development expert and our skills as someone who understands the legal industry, finding that middle point and trying to converge that into helping out the lawyers and solicitors in the US, that's kind of the main goal for Advocate.
Hi, and welcome to Main Street AI, the podcast where traditional businesses are quietly revolutionizing their operations with artificial intelligence and winning. In this podcast, I sit down with industry leaders from law firms and professional services and other Main Street businesses to explore their AI journey. We dive into the opportunities they see, the challenges they're navigating, and the real impact of AI on their industries. Whether you're AI curious or ready to implement, this show brings you insights from leaders who are actually using this technology to serve customers better, empower employees, and drive profitable growth. While attorneys may be great at practicing law, almost none of them are taught how to market it. Soban Khuram of Advocate Marketers saw that gap early and built a business around it, a marketing and business development firm that works almost exclusively with law firms, with a go-to-market strategy focus that most general marketing agencies simply don't have. In this episode, Soban talks about why referral streams eventually dry up, why 70% of solo practitioners miss potential clients who call after 5 p.m., and how AI is changing both what he does for his clients and how his own firm operates. He's 5 years in, targeting 100% growth, and already thinking about what comes next. Let's dive in. Hi, welcome back to the Main Street AI podcast. This is Stephen Whittier with Satori Coach IO. Today I'm joined by Soban Khuram of Advocate Marketers. Soban, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well, man. How's it going?
Good. So just from a high level, go ahead, tell us about yourself, what you do with your business.
Well, so like I said, like you said, my name is Soban. I'm one of the founding partners at Advocate Marketers. Advocate Marketers start with this very clear mission that we're business development experts. We have a lawyer in our mix as well, and we realized very early on that lawyers in the US struggle with generating revenue or generating good marketing. I know there's a lot of people have this image of how lawyers solicit through what they see in modern television, but generally it's a very complicated path because there's a lot of rules and regulations that lawyers have to follow in order to solicit their business. So they have to be very careful of what they put out there and how they market themselves, how they position themselves in front of prospects and in front of clients. So finding that middle point between our skills as a business development expert and our skills as someone who understands the legal industry, finding that middle point and trying to converge that into helping out the lawyers and solicitors in the US, that's kind of the main goal for Advocate.
And how long have you been doing this with the business?
So the business is about 5 years old. I've personally been in business development for about 12 years. And it's been, like I said, it's been a convergence and acclimatization of three of us who decided, we were just sitting there and we were like, guys, we can really this. And this was early in the days when I don't think ChatGPT was a thing.
Right.
We realized that sort of, we saw the signals come in, we saw that the world was going to change. And these industries, like the legal industry, was something that's going to change very much because I think the legal industry is still way behind the 8 ball in terms of the amount of technologies that they've invested in, the amount of effort that AI has invested in this industry, because obviously so many things, so many moving parts there. And there's so much opportunity here. So I think the best, we saw that, and legal marketing is still on the fringes. So how we can improve there was the very first goal that we wanted to sort of, work on.
Yeah. And are there certain types of law that you focus more on typically in terms of the type of marketing that you do? Or because I know, from talking to so many attorneys, there's certain ones that seem to be more heavily referral driven than others.
Yeah.
So how do you fall in with that part of the conversation?
I would say we're very practice area agnostic. Usually, I think because when we started, we were aiming for, I would say, high ROI case lawyers, I would say. Where your personal injury lawyers, you'll probably get more people reaching out, and there's an easier, from my perspective, it's easier to generate that kind of business. But if you're, tort cases, or if you're in maritime law, obviously it's much more difficult because the number of cases substantially drops, and then it's obviously the size of the case as well. So for us, initially we were focusing on those kind of lawyers, like the solo practices, the middle sized law firms, like the ones, a couple of principals and a couple of lawyers, a couple of attorneys, and also like the middle sized firm, not the larger firm initially, because the larger firms also rely on a lot of cases, people walking in, they do a lot of pro bono work, and they do a lot of work through referrals, like you said. So for us, it was initially more solo practitioners, so more smaller law firms, and but we've been very agnostic in the practice area because we realize that's still a overarching problem. We've spoken to attorneys all over. They and a lot of lawyers, because they are so I say I would say it's the most tech savvy field. So a lot of times they come to us and they're like, "Hey, we don't even have a website. Can you help us with that? Can you help us with that?" Right? And even drafting that website and understanding how you position yourself, understanding what's content that needs to be put on there that can drive people to you is a very valuable thing. That's something that people lack. And talking to them, understanding that's kind of been our main go-to towards that. I think our niche is towards helping them strategize. So a lot of firms miss on that. We help with that early stage stuff, strategizing.
Right. So that goes beyond just, hey, we've got a marketing service here, but we
Exactly.
actually we understand the intricacies of what this
It's
takes and creating an actual marketing strategy behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like, so obviously there's a run of the mill marketing firms out there. What I think differs us is the fact every marketing firm you'll go to, they'll be like, hey, you could do SEO, you could do paper ads, or you could do email what kind of things you could do outbound and inbound and stuff like that. For us, the goal, because of I think the expertise that we have, because we used to work very industry agnostic at the beginning. And the reason we chose the legal industry is it's lacking this understanding of how you can strategize and cater to a certain kind of people, right? If you want a certain kind of cases, a certain kind of people to reach out to your practice, how can you strategize and make sure you are relating to the pain points, right? And that's purely marketing angle. It doesn't have to be an understanding of the legal side of things for being like you could play it on a marketing angle. For me, it was more understanding like a go-to-market strategy. So we do, I think
Mhm.
that's where we are experts at, like that early stage strategizing, and obviously then translating that towards successful execution. That's where we're sort of experts in. A lot of the firms a lot of the attorneys that we work with or spoken with or have worked with in the past, mostly the case has been they come to us and they're like, Soban, I need a website or I need SEO done, like very specific things that they come up with. And in the course of understanding what kind of website they need built or what kind of SEO they want done, when we audit or when we do the research and most people skip on, we tend to understand, hey, this is what you're lacking. And this is the content you need on there. This is the pain points that we can address. This is the kind of people you need to reach out to. So that kind of exercise is mostly missing in this industry today.
Right. And I can only imagine that sometimes they come to you thinking that what they need is X, but what they really need is more Y. And so that's where you
Yeah,
can
yeah, that
guide them in the better direction.
that happens quite often. You'd be surprised at how many times people have come up to us and they're like, "Hey, man, I remember there was a guy who came up to us and he's slightly older person, old gentleman, very experienced lawyer, and he's like, I'm getting a beating with this digital work. How can you help us? Like, what seems to be like, what can we do for you? I mean, is there something that, or do you want us to investigate? Which is something that we usually do. We try to investigate, try to understand. And they're like, well, AI, I don't understand AI at all, and I don't understand the digital world. So, well, do you have a website? And they're like, oh, I don't have a website. And I don't need a website. I just need a digital business card. And usually the conversation from there is like, okay, well, we can build something like that. We can build like a landing page if that's what you're looking for, right? Um, so, I mean, there's that kind of people. And then there's people who have good websites. I mean, there's lawyers that I spoke with, they have 35,000 website visitors on a monthly basis. but they're losing business still because they're not able to convert that traffic into actual paying clients, right? So understanding that conversion optimization is still very important to them. So I had a lawyer, he's based in New York, he's a personal injury lawyer, came out to us and said, so I'm getting about 33,000, 35,000 people coming to our website, but I'm not getting a lot of clients every month. How can I use this part successfully? And they had a digital marketing engine internally built. So all we need to do was understand that. So we made some changes on the website, some changes on the content, some of the changes on the sitemap and the structure of the way it was built. And we saw a 20% conversion up rate increase. And simply because of those some minor tweaks that I think anyone could have pointed out, anyone who could have sort of spent the time that I think most people don't spend is generally just about you're not going into and looking at their website or asking the right questions that most people miss out. Very obvious ones, I would say.
Right. And, goes without saying, but should be probably said that this is a completely different skill set than what attorneys go to law school for. So
Exactly.
a lot of
Exactly.
times, they're just in a situation where, running a business, let alone marketing a business, is going to, or a practice is going to be completely different than what they've actually spent all their time becoming proficient at. So, yeah.
In most legal ethical classes, they would be taught that, hey, do not solicit your business. You're not going to go out there handing out your cards and say, I'm a lawyer. If someone's injured, hey, I'm a lawyer. I'll help you out. It's technically unethical, right? So you're not trying to position yourself. You're not trying to sell yourself. You're trying to make sure that people know you exist, which is there's a thin line between actually selling yourself and just showing that you're available. Like you want people to come to you, right? You want yourself to be a viable option. Most of the times, most of the times when people are looking for lawyers, they're not really happy. No one's looking for a lawyer when they're very excited about something, right? So they're reaching out lawyers in difficult times in their lives. And they probably, and especially with the solo practices and practices like personal injury lawyers or, civil liability cases, they usually have multiple lawyers that they've lined up or multiple people they're speaking to and they want to make a choice. So what makes you stand out is how you position yourself in this digital world. Because no one's actually going out these days and picking out a flyer or, looking up on a phone book what lawyer they want to call, right? It's mostly on a website. It's mostly on Google. It's mostly on the digital world where they'll find a solution. What do they have on social? A lot of lawyers are doing some great content work on social. You see that they're creating some wonderful content on social as well. And that's kind of the way you are. You're not telling them anything. You're not sharing any particular case. You're not saying, hey, call me if you want something fixed or something done. You're just saying, this is what I would do in XYZ situation. That's what telling people, hey, this guy, Soban or Stephen can help me. So that's kind of the sort of positioning you want to create. That's kind of your brand that you want to put out there.
Trusted expert. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm sure too, even for a lot of attorneys that do have a steady stream of referrals that may think, I don't need marketing, I would probably throw out there, because I've had plenty of conversations now with them where they'll say, we practice here, but what I'd really like to do is get more of this type of client. So yes, you have plenty of business coming in, but one of the pain points that I've identified, with them is to say, I don't just want anybody. I want more of a certain type of client. We'd really like to move more in this direction. So that's, again, a marketing question initially, because if you want to get more of one type of business, and maybe a little bit less of a referral, you've got to have a healthy referral stream, but maybe not the types of clientele that you want. So that, again, is how do you strategize to attract more of the right people?
And I think one thing that it's not just, I think, lawyers, anyone mistakes when they're relying on the referral partnerships, like the referrals that you have gone on. At one point in time, you're going to get the same kind of customers. Let's say if I'm a personal injury lawyer and I get one individual who's come in and he's gotten my services, right? He's become my client. He's probably going to give you advice and find you one other like me, maybe another person like me. That's not actual empirical growth that you're looking at there, right? You want bigger cases. You want, to represent businesses that you can get actual revenue out of, right? So if you want to grow empirically, you want to make sure you put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
That stream of referral, sort of like a referral leads, you could say, eventually runs out because the amount of people that you could reach out to, the circle always gets shorter. So if you're really looking for empirical growth, you need to make sure you market yourself better. And like you said, I think that's a great point that most lawyers aren't just thought about it, aren't just thought about the business side of things. When someone's creating a solo firm or a solo practice, right? Most of them are risking the fact that they have to pay bills, they have to hire people, they got to buy tools, they got to buy like basic stationery. Everything's going to be controlled by one person, right? There's one side of running a business, and there's one side of running a practice where you have to, represent your clients and get them, the best services possible. But there's other side where you have to make sure the bills are paid and everything's running smoothly. And that only happens when you make sure you have more clients. And
Yeah.
most lawyers that we represent, I know for a fact that they will be able to provide great, relationship and services to their clients. But my job is to make sure I can tell others that that's happening.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just going to stay the realms of the same office that they represent.
Makes perfect sense. And one of the things you had said a few minutes ago was you had somebody come to you, one of the attorneys, and said, I don't understand AI. So let's switch over to that portion of the conversation here, because that's our kind of our whoops, that's kind of our key theme.
Mhm.
What are you seeing right now in terms of where the winds are blowing for AI within the legal niche?
So I used to consult with companies on the legal side with legal sort of like business generation and legal tools as well. One of the core aspects with AI is going to help in is the time that takes. So like the grunt work on the legal side.
Mm-hmm.
So lawyers will have way more time on their hands to do the stuff that they thought that wasn't as important. They're having a lot more say now, a lot more time and resources are available at their disposal to get that grunt work done. Simple things are like discovery, right? Even things like discovery, which is obviously a very extensive process, going through documents, going through recordings and content of all sorts. AI is helping you cut that time from hours to mere minutes, right?
Yes.
Simple tools like a paid chat GPT plan, you can upload hundreds of files, pass through it, and give you the exact information. There's Google LLM out there that will just you can upload several of your own documents, ask it questions, it will reference your documents without a connection to the internet. So there is no sort of like most legal experts would say there's a danger that data would make some hallucination it will make things up. There's still tools out there that aren't connected to the internet that can perform the function that you're looking for do, right? If you want something done, you want to ask it a question, Google LLM can solve that problem for you. So those kind of things are out there that are going to cut time and allow lawyers to do that. So it's mostly the conversation that I'm having with people is how can I integrate AI into that process of my like day-to-day process and reduce that effort. There's another example, very, very good example is that with the same like website conversion, I know there's a couple of companies out there that we partnered with as well. They're building these legal AI bots. So what happens is, at first, what used to happen in the previous days is they used to have a receptionist or someone picking up the phone and handling all that conversation. Nowadays, they have legal bots, AI bots basically on the website, answering questions, getting the appointments, and basically converting that website traffic to actual prospects or clients. So like those those are very minimal changes. So it's not like big huge changes, but the amount of resources or the amount of effort it takes, they're sort of minimizing it to such an extent that now lawyers have much more time on their hands to actually focus on their practice and actually focus, and they can give more time to their clients. Simply put.
Absolutely. No, I mean, this is what I'm involved in right now is exactly these types of things. It makes a tremendous difference where typically you start to look at the workflows of something like what's your conversion system, and it's involving multiple people, multiple touch points, delays in response because everybody's
Right.
busy and things like this. It's so easy to get
Yeah,
some.
solo lawyers being in court, solo lawyers
Exactly.
being in court, nine. I know there's a stat out there from Gartner that 70% of lawyers, especially solo practitioners, miss on clients when when they're contacted after 5 p.m. Simple
Mhm.
as that, right?
Yes.
So that number should be the wake up call for lawyers that they should be missing out on those people that are just happy to walk into the door, hand you their business, but you're just not there. And AI
Mhm.
is going to replace that. AI is your 24/7 assistant that's going to help you do all of that work that you simply don't have the time to do. Those late
Right.
nights, sitting down in discovery, hunched over a cup of coffee, that's something that AI is going to help you minimize. So
Right.
that's I think where that's where people need to start realizing and waking up to the idea that all of this, and also like I think you made a very good point, automations, right? Connecting certain tools that they have internally. There's a lot of legal CRMs out there that people are using on a daily basis. And because the legal CRM industry is still, I would say, on the fringes of what the general CRM industry is, so it's not as advanced as like a standard Salesforce or HubSpot, but it performs standard functions like a CRM. But with the AI now, you could just create automations to N10 or Zapier or something, and you can fill it
Correct.
out
Right.
into a bit more better UI. You can fill it out into a spreadsheet or a better UI, or if you want documentation created, there you go. You've got a link to the CRM. So anything that comes in goes straight to the CRM. Anything that wants to be pushed out can be pushed out. So those kind of things, I think, and it's also a level of understanding. Lawyers need to establish that. The sooner it is, the better it will be for them.
Right. And the automation integrations is a big thing too, because one of the things that that I've been speaking to attorneys about, trying to help them with, is they will have a kind of a pastiche. They'll have a number of different tools, and then you start to dig in a little bit, and they're being underutilized and they're siloed. One's over here, one's over here.
Yeah.
Adoption is an issue, so maybe a few people are using it, but we got some people that aren't technical, that aren't using it. So then you wind up having this kind of a Frankenstein entity operating with these different technical solutions. And so just being able to have a, like you said, this is more of an internal thing than a marketing thing, but more of a cohesive strategy about what you're trying to do, and then make sure everything's speaking to one another and it's adopted within the firm. That's a whole different conversation. So,
100%.
really interesting. And how are you using it too? Is this something that you're using to any degree of robustness within your business?
Yeah, we're using it a lot. So I'll start with a very good, very small example. Uh, Initially, like I said, I mean, we were focusing a lot on website optimization and website conversions. So we started partnering up with these legal boss, understanding what they were doing, right? Uh, and so what we started to do when we started onboarding these legal boss, understanding the conversations they were having and understanding how we can hone in those conversations, like
Mhm.
dry run them, test them out, and improve conversion from the prospect clients. That was one way of it. But because we're also very GTM centered because we're very focused on getting that early strategy built. Back in the day, I think it would have taken us what usually took us to do research, took us maybe a couple of days or 3 days to go out there. We used to source through or different kinds of information. Hey, what does the industry do? What is the total of what kind of stats are there for those kind of patients? What kind of for those kind of clients? Sorry, getting statistics was always a difficult thing for us, right? Doing research. Nowadays, what used to be happening in 3 days happens in an hour because of tools like Claude and ChatGPT and Perplexity. We could just do that in an hour, right? And I think I think the best part of it is with marketing because there's a lot of automations that come in. Even general things that we used to create or that I think we used to do very manually, like things that used to come in from our marketing channels. We had to create a process to add it into our CRM, like very basic stuff is now automated through the fact that we have AI running automations through N8N and adding information directly into it. Those integrators are working for us and creating information and making sure everything's fully up to date without us. What I used to do manually is enter that information there. Now I don't have to. Now I can focus more on speaking to clients, getting their job done, getting to sure their tasks are executed. Even like simpler messages, like emails for updates being sending out there to clients has been automated. So we've integrated the entire system. Basically, our goal is to create like a digital twin of ourselves in a manner where we can have that digital twin be present doing the grunt work of the things that needed for the emails, the updates, things like making sure everything's fully updated, while I and my partners have more time to actually speak with clients and get their problems resolved, hear them out, right? Simple things like, I think, I don't know if you've used this a lot, but there's things like Fireflies and note takers out there which
Absolutely. Yeah.
work very well. I think in the recent time with this advent that has gone on for AI, they've become much better. I think my headache of actually taking notes and listening, sometimes I think I'm guilty of that. Sometimes I would miss on a couple of pointers from my clients, and AI doesn't. Frankly speaking, AI doesn't. And I
Verb.
can, yeah.
That's a great job.
So I can go back and I can actually look into those notes and say, that's great. And GTM is, and when we do go GTM exercises, we're talking to clients, we're asking them questions. So it's very important for us to make sure their answers are being heard upon. We're getting all the information we need, and we're honing in on that when we go into building their value proposition, building their unique selling points, building their message mapping, all of that. It's very necessary for us to make sure they're getting heard. So integrating AI and everything has helped us not miss on anything as well. It's not just about reducing time, it's also about making sure that we're not missing on anything.
What would you say for your business? I'm sure based on everything you said, your answer is probably the strategy piece. Just let me know if you'd add anything in terms of
Yeah.
what makes you very unique relative to maybe some other marketing services for attorneys.
I think, yes, well, the strategy piece that is pretty obvious. But I think that another thing that makes us a good partner to have is the fact that we're a very one-on-one kind of a firm. When I say one-on-one, what basically means is we'll give you a lot of kind of white glove treatment that I don't
Mhm.
think you get with a lot of marketing firms. Because a lot of marketing firms used to start to productize their service and start to sort
Yes.
of give out like packages. Hey, we'll do this. We'll create like this kind of social post, this many social posts, this much interaction, this much impression, like very quantifiable things. We're not really promising a lot of, yes, we'll definitely do quantifiable things, but at the same time, what we actually want is give you tangible results, right? And tangible results don't come out from just, say, I'm going to post 10 reels for you, or I'm going to give you a website that works, or I'm going to get you 10 customers. No, tangible results mean actually getting you revenue in the door, right?
Mhm.
What's your North Star metric or what's your objective and translating that? And when I say white glove treatment, we have, I think at this point, a fairly good team that's very good at what they do. We got them all involved with one client to make sure that the results are driven well, so they don't churn. We have a very low attrition rate, so they stick with us, and we treat them as something that they become a part of the team. We become a part of their team. We grow with them. So that kind of treatment, I think, is very rare in the industry overall. And obviously the biggest thing that makes us stand out. I don't think there's anyone that does that go-to-market strategy like we do. Honestly, I mean, I might be biased, but that's kind of thing. That's kind of the way I've seen it. It's very unique in the way we position ourselves. We don't really go in and say, "Hey, we're going to do all of that for you. We're going to build everything for you," before we understand. So I think a big part of things that are missing in this industry is around understanding what are the pain points and trying to translate your strategy based off of that.
Very good. And then in terms of growth for your business, you're 5 years in, you've got a very specialized service that you're offering to a specialized industry. What stage of growth would you say you're in right now? And what's your target for the next 12 months or so?
Well, we're growing. We've gotten, I think, more clients. We've gotten a lot of clients. We've kept our hands busy at this point. We're trying to make sure we can onboard more people as more employees at this point. So
Mhm.
we're definitely hiring at that stage. But I think another stage for us is related to AI. We've been thinking we want to create some legal tech out there as well. and it's more easier to do with AI. So creating tools that can actually help lawyers, even if it's not general marketing services, creating marketing tools, smaller marketing tools that we can build very easily these days from AI. That's probably our next angle. So yes,
Mm.
growing internally, yes, that's the king, but also making sure that we can. I wouldn't use the productization word, but what I would say is like building smaller products that can actually help lawyers. Because now
Yes.
we're so close to lawyers, we understand their pain points, putting that pain point and making sure there's a feature driven, uh, actually data driven product that actually helps lawyers. That's what we want to do next. So probably
Mhm.
next 12 months is going to be that about that.
Great. Do you have any sense of like what your growth target is for even by percentage or something in the next 12 months? Do you?
I'm going to be honest with you. Here's the thing, and this might sound unrealistic, but we're expecting 100% growth.
Ah, that's
And my
fantastic.
So
Yeah.
that, yeah, again, sounds unrealistic, but that is the thing. I think we're at that stage where empirical growth is fairly possible, and we're hoping that we'll be able to reach that target.
Phenomenal. Um, I always like to wrap up these conversations here with the personal. So, what would you say aside from looking at 100% business growth and helping your clients and all of that to grow their businesses, aside from the business entity, just for you in terms of purpose, what is your big motivator to get up and do what you do every day?
I would say, well, it's always family, always family. Yeah, my I, am I will get married this year, so that
Yep.
that's become a motivator. But also just generally just looking up to waking up every day, having surrounded by family, people I love. Uh, I started this thing. Advocate started with a couple of friends who I knew, who I love, and we started to do this thing together. Never thought that this we would come to this point where we would have other people working with us, and we would have so many clients that we have a chance to work with on a daily basis. So it's the feeling of getting up and doing what you love and doing it with the people you love is great.
Yep.
So that's what I think I'm always looking up to.
Absolutely. That's great. And what's the best way for anyone to reach you to learn more about your services?
Well, they can always reach out to me directly on my email, Soban@advocatemarketers.com. That's my first name, Soban at advocatemarketers.com. That's the best way to reach out there.
Fantastic. I'll make sure to put that in the description too when it goes up on YouTube. So thanks so much, Saban.
Fantastic.
That was a great conversation. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, Stephen. Have a nice rest of your day.